We're going to turn our attention now to coronavirus and the steps to create a vaccine and where we may be headed once a vaccine hopefully is approved for distribution. Let's check in with Anjalee Khemlani, who's got the latest for us. Anjalee?
Thank you, Adam. Yep. So we've heard some pretty promising news in terms of the production of vaccines in the last 24 hours, starting off with AstraZeneca, which has expanded its efforts to produce Oxford University's vaccine that they've already entered into an agreement to, with goals of producing about 1 billion doses by the end of next year. But they've also entered into an agreement with the Serum Institute of India, as well as Gavi, the Global Vaccine Alliance, to produce roughly 700 million doses in total between those two agreements. And that is putting a highlight on really the low-income countries and that conversation that we've been having about vaccine nationalism and how that will play into who gets these vaccines once they're approved. So a pretty big move by AstraZeneca. Meanwhile, Novavax just was awarded a contract by the Department of Defense to scale up production of its vaccine candidate, if approved, in order to have the DoD use that vaccine, whether it gets approved by emergency use or through a phase 2-3 trial. And that's a $60 million contract for about 10 million doses as well.
So the getting these vaccines to us, though, we're still, like Moderna and Novavax, they're not even into phase 2 of the trials yet.
Moderna is entering it. That is the one that's furthest ahead. And so they are starting next month. And that's something that we're keeping an eye on for sure. And all of this, of course, plays into the larger conversation of, gatherings and being out in public right now. We know that for the protests as well, there's some concerns there.
In fact, those concerns, do we have any data to show if these protests, which are now almost 2 weeks old, are leading to the seeding of the virus?
We've been hearing anecdotally, but nothing concrete yet. As far as I've seen, the only thing was Dr. Robert Redfield, director of CDC, yesterday talking about his own concerns that these protests are going to be, quote, a seeding event. And so we're definitely keeping our eye out on that. There are already, data of increased hospitalizations in some cities and in some areas around the country. But finding out the granular details of where they're coming from has yet to be determined.